Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking WWE. Now we don't do this often, but recently on the channel I talked about Bray Wyatt and his new gimmick. Apologies that I called it a dinosaur when it's a buzzard. Oops. You can check that out via the link in the description box below and have a good laugh at my expense. But you can check that out. But that led me on to another topic, because there is quite a lot of talk at the moment around Sasha Banks. Now, I was a big fan of Sasha Banks when she was in NXT. She had exceptional matches. She was great. Her gimmick was good as well. She was the boss and she felt like the boss. But since she moved to the main roster, she's had her moments. But currently, it sounds like she's at an all-time low. WWE have sent her home. That's the reports from multiple wrestling websites. And it does appear that potentially she's weighing up whether to leave the WWE or not. And again, the reports are saying that they think this is a harsh, reactionary decision from Sasha Banks to even think about this, but it is playing on her mind. Now, they're the reports, so we can only take them for what we've read. But I want to talk about this in more detail when it comes to the character of Sasha Banks and where I feel things have gone wrong, and what potentially we could do if she stays with WWE to rectify those issues. Now, before we get into it, I want to make sure you are subscribed to the channel with the notification bell turned on so you stay up to date with all my WWE content. Felt weird saying WWE without the games on the end, but there you go. Anyway, let's talk about Sasha Banks. Now, if you follow me on social media, you will know at Delzinski on Twitter and Instagram. But on Twitter, most notably, you will know that I'm not a fan of the boss and hug connection. Now, I'm a fan of Sasha Banks. I'm a fan of Bayley. But I'm not a fan of this name and this gimmick. They could have just been Sasha and Bayley, but instead they went for this cheesy play on words, trying to represent it like the rock and sock connection. It's nothing like that. It's just a gimmick. They're trying to sell merch, and I really didn't like it. It just felt cringe. So I didn't like that, and I felt like that was the final straw really when it came to these two, because everything that's happened to them recently has felt like a bit of an afterthought. And yes, they were made the first women's tag team champions. The reign, very short, but also the reign in itself seemed to be given to them because they had nothing for these two. You had Charlotte, Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch main eventing. Asuka a little while ago picked up the women's championship, only to lose it to Charlotte, but I feel like Asuka can bounce back from that. But these two, WWE simply has nothing for them. There's no real direction. They like the fact that both of them can sell merch. Bayley has her family-friendly type audience, and Sasha, you know, she has her young girl fans and, you know, probably adults as well who like the boss. They're great sellers, but their booking, it just hasn't worked out. I don't feel invested in either of these two anymore, and it's such a shame because I was invested in them both in NXT. I've always felt that WWE have not put the full effort into Bayley, so we might as well touch on her as well in this video. And then when it comes to Sasha Banks, she's the boss. Treat her like the boss. It's all good and well, Michael Cole going, it's boss time. What does that really mean? Now with Bayley, she could have been the female version of John Cena if they really put the effort in. Selling her merch, you know, she's got that. She's got that ability, but they just didn't treat her right. Mr. T style. But Sasha, now Sasha Banks, go back and watch her in NXT when Sasha Banks had the whole ratchet gimmick going on where the crowd would chant, she's not ratchet, or yes she is. And it was fantastic, and you know why that worked, because she was a heel. Now, Sasha Banks has teased a heel numerous times that she's going to turn her back on, for example, Bayley, or she's going to turn on the WWE Universe. But every single time they get close to pressing the button, WWE seems to pull the plug and then focus on someone else. It's no one else's fault that Sasha Banks hasn't got to where she's gotten in terms of superstars. I see some people saying, well, it's the Alexa Bliss effect. I don't agree with that. Look at Alexa Bliss and her gimmick down on NXT. She was all sparkles. And now, you know, she's Little Miss Bliss and she's got that mean attitude. And in a way, that's almost the gimmick that Sasha Banks should have as the boss. And she could have been a really top women's heel on the main roster. But WWE have flip-flopped and chopped and changed her gimmick so many times, and I believe that all comes down to one thing, like I said with Bayley, merch. If you're a babyface, you sell to a bigger audience. Might not be the case always. Heels sell too, but you open yourself up to a younger audience because you have the fans behind you, and Sasha Banks has that appeal, and that's great for WWE. But for the character, for the person, Sasha Banks, her gimmick, you know, it detriments her because she works better as a heel, in my opinion. There's more about her. She has that charisma. She oozes that charisma, but she doesn't get to use it in WWE because she's too busy being a babyface. So if WWE really wants to rectify the Sasha Banks problem and stop her from moving away, because it could be the case that it's too little too late, they have to turn her heel, they have to look at what they did in NXT, they have to look at the whole ratchet gimmick and why that worked, and they have to utilise that. They have a great opportunity right now to do this if the Lacey Evans feud with Becky Lynch does indeed pass. Lacey Evans, I've been waiting to see what she will do. She started off very well against Becky Lynch, but maybe after this feud and when this comes to an end, Sasha Banks has been off TV for a bit, she's been given this break. They could bring Banks back as the boss, as a heel, and she could take on Becky Lynch. And I honestly believe if you have this Becky Lynch as the man, because this gimmick is gold, if you have that against a boss, Sasha Banks, it could be the one that reinvigorates Sasha Banks on the main roster. Her as a full out working heel is what is needed to be done. Bayley, we'll go back to that. I don't think Bayley needs to be a heel. I think a heel turn would be interesting for Bayley, but she's got that fan base. It's just WWE doesn't play into it enough. She doesn't really get marketed that much on TV anymore. She doesn't really get, you know, segments of her own. She's either teamed up or partnered up or placed with somebody. And I feel like you kind of lose Bayley in the shuffle. And it's very disappointing for these two women that were, you know, such a big part of the women's evolution. They've kind of been, you know, put on the back burner whilst the others have all thrived. So I do understand why Sasha Banks may be feeling, you know, distraught and that she wants to move away. I've talked about this. If you drop the ball too many times with certain superstars, you should not be surprised if now they want to walk away, because there is an alternative. It might not be a competitor, but AEW is there. So I would not like to see Sasha Banks step away from the WWE, but I could see her reasoning why. But I think it's an easy fix. I think if WWE book her as a heel, she will thrive. Bayley, she needs more TV time. They need to focus on her gimmick, which is the huggable one. It's not the boss and hug connection. I mean, even that, it was just a name. It didn't actually amount to anything. Yes, they won the tag titles, but I've told you what that was. That was to appease the fact they had nothing else for them. And then they dropped them anyway at WrestleMania to the Iconics. So it was really pointless. It was almost to say, look, we'll give you that moment. We've given it to you. Now it's done. We can say bye-bye to you. We can focus on the Iconics, who are more fresh and more new. Is that great? How would that make you feel as a WWE superstar that paved the way? Let me know. So that's what I think. I think Sasha needs to return to the Ratchet gimmick. She needs to go back and really, wind up the WWE universe. If they were smart, they could tie this in nicely to her feuding for the Women's Championship against the Man. Ronda's out the way now, so it's a great opportunity. And I think that could kickstart Sasha Banks getting back on track. Now, I want to get your views and opinions on this. I want to know what you think. Again, I don't talk about wrestling too much, but this is a topic that I find of interest because of the fact that, in all honesty, in NXT, she was my favourite. And now I'm like, when Sasha Banks is on, I'm like, oh no. And WWE even helped this with the whole boss time and the Michael Cole stuff. All of that really has made it more cringe. And you don't respect her as the boss anymore because you just think, ugh, this gimmick's had its day. It hasn't. It hasn't. It just needs to be treated right. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. And all that's left to be said is, what do you think will help fix Sasha Banks and keep her with the WWE? Let me know. This is Delzinski signing out.